to another episode of Saturday Night Ladies. I am Deej Barons.
I'm Shari Fasco.
And I'm Demi Constantine.
And we are your Saturday Night Ladies. And we have an extra lady tonight. Let me introduce you to Kirstin and Rajala from Generation Women, sorry?
Yep, Generation Women, that's right.
It's a show that she does in Toronto. So we are evenly split between, and actually on my screen we have the Canadians on top and the US on the bottom. Geographically, it actually works.
It does. We often feel like America's hat, just looking down.
Well, I always think of it as the America's disappointed little brother. It's like, really, dude? Really?
Yes.
Well, things are a mess up like that. But this is not a political podcast. This is a SNL podcast full of women-focused stuff and women people talking about women. Kirstin, what is your introduction SNL journey thus far?
Well, I have been watching SNL for many, many years. I started in the 80s. Obviously far too young for some of the political humor that was on the show at the time, but certainly appreciated much of the other laughs and have watched it ever since. I would record it on my VCR. There, I'll age myself. And it's appointment viewing, like you make time for it. My son started watching it with me when he was really young. One of my proudest moments is a report card he got from school that said, Graydon has a very unique sense of humor. And I was so proud because I knew it came from watching shows like SNL on a weekly basis. He's a teenager, so he's a little less interested these days, but I love to think that it imprinted on him in some way and contributes to the sense of humor he has now.
Now, have you also introduced him to SCTV at all?
Ooh, he might have to wait for that one. Those are gold standard gems, obviously. SCTV, Kids in the Hall. Teenagers are funny and finicky, so he doesn't appreciate it yet. I'm confident he will appreciate it at some point in the future. And the great news is that in the meantime, I have found other super fans like Shari, like yourselves, and get to join these great podcast conversations about this show that we both and all love.
Yeah, because both Shari and I I think Shari started a little bit earlier, but definitely from the 80s, the start of the Ebersol era. For ladies like Julie Dreyfus, Robin Duke. There's also a great Canadian connection because SNL is created by a Canadian. Rosie Schuster was one of the early writers and creative forces behind the creation of SNL. We are talking about, in our series, female musical guests from different decades. So this is our last. We haven't done them in order, but just be different. We're going over today 1975 to 1979, and then 1980 to 1989. We're going to start with Kirstin. What is your 1970s artist pick?
I went for a quintessentially New York performance. I'll first note that looking for female artists in the 70s was a little disappointing because they certainly did not have the representation that I think we all would have liked. Although the pickings were slim and, women were struggling to be taken more seriously as musicians, the very New York choice is Bette Midler. She screams to me New York City. She is theater. She is the accent. Everything about her is New York. And in fact, the two performances that she did hinted at that. She did Married Man. Her backup singers were dressed as brides and there was costuming. Certainly it was a more basic version than you'd see today with like a Lady Gaga or someone, but there was costuming. And then her second performance was almost beatnik, all in black, sleek, dark lighting. So really using this as a way to show off her performance chops and what a formidable voice. I mean, it's Bette Midler. I think there's no denying that she is incredibly talented. I'm surprised she hasn't been on more, but she wasn't necessarily your pop songstress. She's, not someone who's been top of the charts all the time, but she has consistently been regarded as one of the top performers of all of these decades. And I still love that even today, she is a very active advocate for, women's rights and standing up for human rights and such in New York City, and she remained a New York City citizen since. So it felt appropriate that as the show launches, it's in New York, that I choose someone who is very New York centric. So Bette Midler Midler is someone I am thrilled to talk about.
And her episode was season 4, episode 20, May 19th, 1979. Married Man was from her album Thighs and Whispers, and that one is definitely a banger. What's interesting about the second song that she did, Martha, it was written by Tom Waits, originally recorded on his 1973 album Closing Time, but it has never officially been recorded for any of her studio albums. So this performance of Martha was a strictly just for SNL performance. I'm not sure if you call it pre-chorus or the second part of the verse. You can definitely tell there's the Tom Waits kind of songwriting influence on that, just from the rhythm and the cadence. Could only find the audio performances, but for what I've heard, sounds very awesome. Fun fact, she was very New York. In her early career, was playing in gay bathhouses, and apparently Barry Manilow would often play piano for her. And back at that time, one of her backup singers was Katie Seagal, who we all know and love as Peggy Bundy, and who was also on the last season of The Connors, and previous to that, 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. The 70s was definitely peak bet, but then we got into the 80s where she got into more of a sort of a soft rock pop kind of vibe, but you just cannot beat 70s bet. Debbie, have you heard these performances, and what's your opinion on this?
It's a great pick. Bette Midler is a brand unto herself. Like, she's one of one. I saw her on Colbert recently, and she did a short song poem for him about his cancellation, and she was just, well, actually she did sing a little bit, and she was hitting the notes. Like, she just irrepressible. So, but I don't know her as a young woman, so I wish I could have seen what it was like to see her in real time, like in her first prime, I guess. I don't know how many primes she's had. Multiple primes. Thrilled to hear that she was given the SNL stage for that. That's great.
Sherry.
I am a huge Bat fan. I have seen her live. I remember The Rose when it came out, and I remember what a huge song that was, and that was early 80s maybe, so that's more when she was turning into the pop star that Deej was referring to. And I was a usher at a movie theater when Beaches came out, and everybody was sobbing. Bat was singing the anthemic, "If all the wind beneath my wings, if only you could be my hero." That was at everybody's graduation in the 80s. To see her at the beginnings of her career, what a mega star she's become. And Kirstin and I were talking about how interesting the two performances were. I was lucky enough to find them on YouTube. The first one was so Bat and so color and the costumes. And then that quiet Tom Waits just shows you that she can do anything and has continued to do anything. And your Kirstin, the New York thing, right on the nose. She is New York. So what a perfect performance by a perfect female superstar. Couldn't have picked better myself. Thumbs up.
The Rose was from 1979. It was the title song from the movie of the same name. And there's kind of a Bette Midler Bill Hader connection, because let's just wrap this into my other podcast, Sweetheart Hater. He was in a movie called The To-Do List, which was directed by his wife at the time, Maggie Carey. And one of the particular plot points is the three friends, before they go off to college, they're going to get together and watch Beaches. And then they have a big argument. So a way to make up for it, she comes back to her friend's place, immediately starts singing Wind Beneath My Wings as an apology to her friends. Kind of a fun little scene there. But again, I'll usually tie most things into Bill Hader if I can. Okay, I pick from season 4, episode 8, December 9th, 1978, Kate Bush. After 1979, she stopped touring because she has long had a fear of flying. This was her sole performance in the U.S. live. Kate Bush was a big part of my youth. Wuthering Heights, a higher vocal range, some of her songs I can sing. She had this very mystical quality, especially with the songs that she chose for this one. The host was Eric Idle. Both songs were from the Kickin' side. First was Them Heavy People. The second one, which is not as quite as a well-known song, black box staging, really worked in the Man with the Child in His Eyes performance. And she was in this gold Barkley catsuit. For a seer, it looks like she's just on black. But as they pan back, you can see Paul Schaefer down at the bottom on the piano. Kate Bush has always been one of my top female performers. Her being actually live is wonderful. Big influence on me musically, as well as Pat Benatar and Blondie. With Kirstin, your thoughts?
I love that you said Pat Benatar, because I was so disappointed that I couldn't pick her because she didn't perform. very sad. Kate Bush is a legend. I love that 2024, all of a sudden everyone rediscovers her because of Stranger Things. We'll take it. I feel like she walked so that Gaga and Chappell Rowan could run, right? Like her, woman as a conceptual performance artist, being able to kind of wear something that wasn't, if you compare to other artists at that time, felt very different. The choreography felt like storytelling. Like there was so much performance in what she did and still does that she didn't feel at all kind of industry made. She felt very authentic to herself, and there's a real beauty in that. So I think that's why, she remained so impactful, as you say, Deej, to you over all these years, because she just felt like a true artist. So I love her as a pick, and I love that she got some more attention recently. It's a shame that she didn't tour. It probably impacted her career because she's incredibly talented, and we'd probably be far more familiar with more recent stuff of hers if she was someone who wasn't afraid of flying, which is unfortunate. Great pick, legendary, and I love that because of Stranger Things, all the younger people would now agree with you.
I highly recommend checking out some of her old music videos from the 70s and the 80s because a lot of them are so artistic. One of the classic ones, Babushka, so simple, but very effective. One song of hers where it's from the point of view of a fetus in the womb while nuclear war is outside. She had very much a depth of what the kind of songs she was singing about. Where I saw a lot of them is when pay TV first started in Canada with First Choice and Super Channel. So a lot of the breaks between the movies, they would show a lot of her music videos, and that's what really got the love there. So, Demi.
I don't think I remember that exact performance, but I've seen music videos and live performances from that time because she was so injected into the algorithm because of Stranger Things. And I'd always heard of her, but I'd never really seen her perform. And yeah, she seemed very much like in the same vein as like Bjork or Yoko Ono, or like very, like you were saying, conceptual and very earthy. And I do completely agree with the Chappell Roan precursor, and Gaga too, to an extent, for sure. Yeah, Gaga for sure. But they're very, very theatrical besides the music, but the music is also good. And also, lest we forget, SNL included her in the Christmas duets sketch or pre-tape from for the Christmas episode in 2025. Her legacy endures back on SNL as well. Full circle. So really cool pick. I'm loving these 70s, 80s picks. This is great.
And sorry.
As Kirstin just pointed out, so great that she's finally getting attention. She should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame years ago. I think she's maybe finally gotten in. She is remarkable. I did not know that was Paul Schaefer. Thank you, Deej. You have the eyes and the observational skills of just golden. So thank you for pointing that out. I forgot he was the piano player at that time. The juxtaposition of the two performances, the very quiet and then the little more energetic, shows that she can do anything. And those high notes that she can hit are remarkable. I'm really glad that young people are finding her. I cannot believe that Running Up That Hill, I remember when it was a top 10 hit when I was a kid, and it's top 5 now and on the radio still all the time. So yay, very happy that young people are getting introduced to this seminal talent. She was just incredible. And what she was doing for women at that time, just like the other women we're going to talk about, was remarkable. So excellent pick, Deej.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, the early 70s and early 80s were very much, times have changed. Because especially with the mid-70s when SNL started, URA was around, and there was a lot of things that women were fighting for at that time, as well as with the LGBTQIA communities back in the day when it was always we only just started in the 70s with the riot of Stonewall. There's a lot of stuff that's been brought up from the underground to the forefront. We are going to go over to Demi for her 70 to 75 pick.
Awesome. What did I pick for the 70s? Oh, Phoebe Snow. I'd never heard of this artist. I was like, I tried to I didn't believe on Reddit when they're like, oh no, you can't watch all the episodes. SNL gets cut to one episode is 34 minutes because of music rights. And I'm like, I don't believe that. There's no way. So I tried to watch from season 1 on, And after like season 5, I think is like the delineation. The episodes are cut way short because of music rights and various other things. But before all that carnage, I was able to watch this episode hosted by Raquel Welch. And I remembered it because Raquel Welch had an entire 2-minute number where she just danced on stage. That was it. Like that was the thing. And I was like, what? What's self-indulgent? What? But SNL was experimenting. They were trying new things, and it just stuck in my head. I was like, what? So if you think if people have problems with writers now, maybe go back to the 70s, watch an episode, and then maybe complain about something. But whatever, try new things. I'm not going to judge. I was just taken aback. I could not believe how much airtime she got. And then also when she introduced Phoebe Snow, she was like, how about you do a little song for us? And I thought it was so condescending. I'm like, this is her profession, lady. For that reason alone, this artist stuck in my head. What's going on with this? Like, this is the professional musician. And then she got on and did really beautiful singer-songwriter type performance that I think it was her and just an acoustic guitar, like minimal backup. And, she's playing guitar, she's singing. She sounds really good. Like, she has a very clear voice. She's like, I'd never heard of her. Like, I can't believe I'd never heard of her before. Thanks, SNL, for putting someone on. And I guess Shari was looking her up too, and she was saying she was friends with Howard Stern. But I also read that she was doing collaborations with Simon and Garfunkel a lot. So she was very much in the scene. And then she had a baby, and I don't know what happened to the father, but the baby was born with disabilities. So she gave up her career to take care of this child, and that was her entire life. That was it. And I guess the kid lived till 2007, so that's pretty long. And I think, I don't remember exactly. I was going to look up, sorry, I forgot to look exactly when she passed. But I just was so impressed that there's this whole universe of a career. And like, she went on SNL like 3 different times. Like, so she was like a friend of the show almost. And just for her to like disappear without a ripple, I was just really grateful to go back and watch old SNLs and see what was culturally relevant and like pull the thread a little bit. And it was a great performance to boot. I just can't believe that someone had been at SNL like 3 times and I had never heard of them before. It was grateful that SNL serves as a matter of record for a lot of these performers. And it was a great set as well.
Yeah, Phoebe Snow is definitely quintessential, mellow, soulful 70s, very much similar to Minnie Riperton, who is the mother of Maya Rudolph. She's also done a version of the Shoop Shoop song with Linda Ronstadt. I was trying to I could find the audio recordings performances at all, but there is a teeny tiny Bill Hader connection in the Bruno Mars episode. They did a sketch called Wilderness Lodge, going to Yeti Point and how Yeti Point is not a great place to go to. And the Bill Hader character is explained to this couple at the lodge saying,
I have a little cabin by Yeti Point. I used to go there when I wanted a place of quiet reflection and solitude. I just poured myself a glass of wine and put on a little Phoebe Snow, when suddenly I had the feeling I was being watched.
He did this similar sketch again when he hosted Saturday Night Live later on.
I used to go there in the evenings to connect with my spirit and my birdie. Relax to a little Phoebe Snow.
It's a crazy kind of sketch. Phoebe Snow definitely deserved a lot more than the Do I Sing a Little Song for Wrestling. And that was season 1, episode 18, April 24th, 1976. Kirstin!
I echo what you say. How have I never heard of this person? Blew my mind. Incredibly talented. Went back and watched some of her performances. She clearly is a fantastic singer. And I saw that she'd done a lot of jingles and clearly was doing things to pay the bills. And there were reasons why, unfortunately she passed at 60, so quite young. I can't decide if it was, partially that she, took herself out of the industry, but also just the way that, women were regarded as business entities at that time. There wasn't the type of marketing or amplification from things like social media that allowed her to endure beyond the few performances that exist, some of which, yes, are hard to find online. So this is a whole other thing, but how the fuck do we not know her? How have we not heard her name? My mind is blown. I didn't know who she was. I was like, Phoebe Bridgers? No, Phoebe Snow? Who's Phoebe Snow? Look her up. Wow, okay, she's very talented. And you're right, was on the show 3 times. I don't get it, but let's say that we are righting some of the wrong right now by talking about her and celebrating her and hopefully having people look her up and remembering her for all of the great talent that she is.
Yeah, and it's not only for women, but women of color. They got pigeonholed into a lot of different genres. Her voice is something that more people need to hear. And she had died from complications from a stroke. Sorry. What's your thoughts?
As you ladies often do, you bring so much new knowledge into my life. And I had heard of Phoebe Snow. I knew about her because of her time on SNL, because I had just been watching the first season. So I had a little introduction to her. I was around in the 70s, and I don't remember her being talked about, but I was only 5. So I was a music baby. Like, I was singing Brick House when I was 7. So I loved music from a young age. She was a big star for a hot minute with that guitar. I looked up I couldn't find the Saturday Night Live performances, but I found one that I think was pretty similar, where she's just with her guitar and her glasses, looking very not made up, beautiful woman, but not, in nice outfit, but not dazzly Hollywood or whatever, singing the shit out of a song. Then I found a couple years later, she did another song. I looked up, what was the name of it? Oh, it's in my notes, but it was a pretty famous song by another female artist. And she just knocked it out of the park, hit every note. I'm like, I agree with Kirstin. Why are people talking about her? So I'm so glad that we are. And for the 20 people who are listening to us, they're going to get introduced to her, and they're going to tell 20 more people who are going to listen to her and start listening to our podcast.
And so on, and so on, and so on. Yes, I'm having 70s shampoo commercial throwbacks.
Me too, Deej. It's exactly what I was thinking of.
For those who weren't around at that time, it was an advertisement for Fabergé organic shampoo, where they say, you'll tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends, yada, yada, yada.
We're in the same wavelength as usual. Let's spread it. Let's spread all the female power. That's what this show is all about. So excellent pick, Demi. Woohoo!
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And they're on the Shari's pick, and I've been waiting for this one because I love this so fucking much. Shari, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Deej. I think Deej and I are very, very close in age. I just celebrated my 56th birthday yesterday. And Deej
Happy birthday!
Thank you. And Deej just
It'd be 57 in September.
Yeah, so we're very close. And have a lot of musical similarities. One of Deej's artists that she's going to talk about in the 80s is one of my favorites. And this one is both of our favorites. I've been obsessed with Deborah Harry and Blondie since I was a child. I am really into rap music. There would be very little rap music. I'm not saying Deborah Harry was a rapper, because she was not. But her work in Rapture was certainly inspiring. And she was using sound effects in her music so far before anybody else. I mean, the stuff she was doing was so innovative. And she was a rock chick in a man's world. And she didn't let that stop her. Just remarkable. That voice, I mean, I could not find much online. I remembered her performances because she's just so memorable. But I did manage to find a very crappy version of Dreaming. And it was still phenomenal because she has such an amazing voice. Cannot say enough. She did come on as a host later on, and she introduced a rap group. The very first rap group to ever appear on Saturday Night Live, which they talked about in the documentary. So the woman was breaking down all kinds of walls. She's just amazing. And of course, that voice. Deej already said it. That voice is electric. It's sonorous. It's all the things a voice should be. She really created, I feel like she created her own genre. She started the whole new wave thing almost or a decade early. Big Deborah Harry fan. Big Blondie fan. She's still singing as far as I know. I would love to find her. I hope she comes to Michigan Live one of these days. But just remarkable, and a remarkable performance on SNL when not that many ladies, as Kirstin referred to, or being on the show at all.
As I mentioned earlier, Debbie Harry, Pat Benatar, Kate Bush, big influences on me as a kid. Blondie in particular, like Parallel Lines is still my favorite album of all time. This was never released as a single, but a song on that album called 1159 is one of my absolute favorite songs. So if you get to find that, listen to it. The entire Parallel Lines album is fantastic. These particular tracks that she did on this episode were from the album Eat to the Beat. I did manage to find, was season 5, episode 1, October 13th, 1999, with Steve Martin as one of his many, many hostings. If you haven't heard her first solo album, Cuckoo, there's a song on there called Backfired. That album has a very much of a funk influence. It was produced by Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards of Chic. She came from New York. She came from CBGB's. And the one thing I really loved is, because Dreaming is a fabulous song, bass line in the second song that they did, The Hardest Part. Nigel Harrison is their bassist, and I'm a bass player as well, so that's why I pay a lot of attention to that. It's just the bass line of that is just magic, just total, complete magic. So yes, thank you very much, Sherry, for mentioning Blondie, because I'm pretty sure if you didn't, I would have. Kirstin, let's have your thoughts on all this.
She's a badass. It sounds cringe to talk about like it factor, but she absolutely had it. Yes, she has a phenomenal voice, and yes, she was knocking down doors, but she was just cool. She dressed cool, she looked cool, and it wasn't about the dancing or the movement, because she at times hardly moved. She just stood there with the microphone very confidently and wore a ripped t-shirt and kind of had this, dressed like the guys in the band, but very clearly bleached blonde hair and the makeup. It is a very memorable fashion sense for me. That's what I take from it, is like the way that she dressed and the way that she presented herself is something I still refer to as a muse. Looking fabulous, but still looking like you don't care, right? Like just putting on the jeans and the little kind of boots with the heels and the whatever going out. It's incredible. So all of what she presented, from the singing and the performance, but also the look of it. So absolutely female, the blondest of blonde hair, the winged eyeliner, like all about it, but then playing with the boys. Like, yes, she's chef's kiss. She's amazing. And someone had to pick her. Shari got her before I did, but I'm glad she's in it.
One thing I neglected to mention in my spiel is there's also her film work. She was in the classic David Cronenberg film Videodrome. That film, at a tender young age, still freaks me out to this day. That is the magic of David Cronenberg. And the part that she plays in it, very femme fatale. There's a certain scenes in that. Like, this is definitely something that I'm sure Sarah Squirm loves, because it's very much a lot of body horror. When there's one scene where on James Wood, the gun is basically melting it into his hand. Beautiful on that. Debbie.
Oh my God, what a great pick. Legend, Shari. Just yes. Because, Debbie Harry, like you have all said, she did start out in the punk scene with CBGBs and doing her own thing, and yet retaining so much femininity, almost aggressive femininity. No, I don't want to say aggressive femininity, but she was a girl. She was not trying to blend in. She was a girl, and she was a really cool girl. She had to fight hard for it, I guess, according to the documentary, to get hip hop and rap featured on network television for the first time. I heard Rapture, the song that she incorporated the hip hop into. The first time I heard that was when KRS-One sampled it. He did a song called, I think, Rapper's Delight, which sampled Rapture, her singing part. And I was like, this song is so beautiful. Where is this sample from? What? And then I heard Rapture, which samples rapping. So it's crazy full circle. Gorgeous music, original, completely original. The sound was original. The look was original. Nobody was doing it. Progenitor of punk, punk rock princess, queen forever. What a great pick. What a New York pick. Again, what a New York pick.
I may end up editing this out, but just for fun, I'm going to try doing the rap part. Fab Fire Fighters will be everywhere. Spy, DJs fitting, say my, flash is flash, fast as food, Francois Paw, flash signal voo, and you don't stop. Sure shot. You go out to the parking lot and you get in the car and you drive real far. You drive all night and then you see a light and it comes right down and lands on the ground. Then out comes a man from Mars. You try to run, but he's gone again, and he shoots you dead and he eats your head. And then you're in from Man from Mars. You go out at night, eating cars, read Cadillacs, Lakers to Mercury and Subaru, and you don't stop. You keep on eating cars. Then, when there's no more cars, you go out at night and eat at bars where the people meet. Face to face, dance cheek to cheek, one to one, man to man, toe to toe. Don't move the slow, 'cause a man from bars is through with cars. He's eating bars, yeah, wall to wall, door to door, hall to hall. He's gonna eat 'em all. Rap, chore, be pure. Take your tour through the sewer. Don't strain the brain, pay the train, and you'll be singing in the rain. So don't stop to the punk rock.
Woo! Woo! Deej! Woo!
Couple of stumbles, but I made it through because I love that song so much. The lyrics in that, what the turns that it takes, like you're aliens, you're dead, then they eat you, then they do all part of the thing. It's like, oh, craziness. So now we're heading into the next decade. My high school years, 1980, I was in 8th grade, was Caribou Hill Secondary in Burnaby. Kirstin, what is your pick for the 80s?
This is a woman who, over the decades, has not changed her identity or image or brand one single bit. There are a lot of artists that have, and there's not a right or wrong way to do this, but she is someone who has endeared us with her kind of authenticity and her truth. This is Stevie Nicks I'm talking about. This is someone who is, to this day, if I say Stevie Nicks, you immediately picture who she is. She's got this long flowing hair. She's got this kind of beautiful, witchy, mystical vibe. I don't know. I think people want to look like her. I don't know who she looks like, but people want to look like her. She's got a very distinct look and style and voice. I mean, come on. Her voice is unmistakable amongst any female artist. It's so strange that Fleetwood Mac never performed on the show. There have got to be reasons, but she did, which is great. She performed twice. We're, of course, talking about the earlier performance. I mean, she's a legend, and she was just recently nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. I mean, she epitomizes for me like a remarkable female singer who has made an absolute mark on the music industry, both within a band and on her own. I'm speechless, right? Like, just put on any one of her songs or any Fleetwood Mac song that she sings on, and we all know the words, we all recognize it. It was played on all of radio back in the 70s and 80s, and that's not a complaint. She was on the show. I'm, again, one of those people that I'm surprised she hasn't been on more. And I love, by the way, that Ryan Murphy put her in American Horror Story season, the Coven season, and kind of connected to this whole kind of mysticism, witchiness that she has, and some of the characters dressed very much like Stevie Nicks does. And then she was in the episode, and I actually don't remember if she played a version of herself or not, but it was absolutely perfect. So she transcends music, and she is an entity of her own, and Stevie Nicks is my vote for someone who we absolutely have to remember as making their mark on the show at this time period.
I suspect that she might have been, maybe she was slightly inspired by Kate Bush. They have a very similar ethereal quality, whereas I'd almost call Kate Bush's etherealism as more alien rather than witch. Yeah, she has a very distinctive style. Stevie Nicks, you know exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember if she was actually married to Lindsey Buckingham or not, but I know with the way Fleetwood Mac was with their relationship.
No.
Both the songs are from the album The Wild Heart. Was season 8, episode 8, with the host being Flip Wilson. I remember this being a particularly good Gary Kroeger episode, who was at that era was my favorite at the time. Stevie Nicks, one of the other things I love from Stevie Nicks is she did, if you're familiar with the movie Heavy Metal, she did a song for the soundtrack called Blue Lamp. Really awesome track. Trying to remember if this was the last performance she did before she was on recently. And while Debbie talks about this, I will go look that up.
Thank you, Deej. I just want to get on my high horse real quick, just real quick, and do a quick Reddit rant, just a little bit. After Stevie Nicks performed on the last season, I forget what season that was, there were people in the comments saying mid or whatever, and I'm like, do you guys not understand what you're looking at here? If Chappell Roan remained relevant and was still creating in 50 years, you would shut your mouth and pay attention if she was performing on SNL again after all that time. So let's just keep that in mind when you're making your assessments of how good this pop music is. Stevie Nicks, just another progenitor. I'm loving this episode so much because you guys are bringing up such seminal, important, talented lady singers, female singers, women, however you want to characterize it. Just, I love it so much. And Stevie Nicks was so original, had such an original sound, complemented her bandmates in Fleetwood Mac. Real quick though, so Fleetwood Mac, she was dating Lindsey Buckingham. They joined Fleetwood Mac together, and then they broke up, on again, off again. And then, okay, Kirsten's nodding, so if I get anything wrong, please correct me. The keyboardist was married to the bass player, and then she was having an affair with the lighting guy while they were on tour. Forget what, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were on again, off again, so there was like a lot of tension and drama there, as you can imagine. And then later, like I think a decade later, she had an affair with the drummer, Mac Fleetwood. So, you know, there's just a big circle of tension, and we just reaps the benefits of, because I mean, I would hear the Chain on the classic rock station in Chicago in high school. Every fourth song was the Chain. I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. They did a residency like down the street where I worked at Ben & Jerry's, and it was just like, after the shows got out at like 11:30, whatever the curfew was, all these couples would be coming in like their 40s and get ice cream and just be like losing their minds over this Fleetwood Mac show because it was a very limited engagement. And I've never seen such happy, satisfied couples that were in their 40s. They were just so happy. And I was like, okay, cool. I was into punk then. I was listening to punk and going to punk shows, so I didn't get it. And then during the pandemic, I went on after the SNL with Stevie Nicks, I went back and did like a 3-day obsession deep dive on all those Fleetwood Mac documentaries and their music videos. And I think I watched The Chain like 10 times because like the harmonies and the drama and the talent is so singular, and it's just it's just wow, it's just so I just can't believe how beautiful and original it is for her to come back and do SNL all these years later. It's just truly a testament. I mean, icon, stand up for women's rights, staunch in women's rights, staunch in her identity, her solo career. She was her to the end. She was in School of Rock. That's how important she is. She was a touchstone in School of Rock. So just bravo, great pick. This is all good things.
And I can confirm that, yes, this was the performance, was the last time she was on SNL before season 50. So Sherry is next.
Oh, Stevie, I love her. I just saw because I obviously can't see Fleetwood Mac because Lord knows they're not touring. But Stevie is. She was with Billy Joel, and then he got very sick. I think she's hitting the tours again. I don't think she's ever going to stop touring. I hope that I'll be able to catch her. The closest I've gotten so far is a tribute band of Fleetwood Mac, and I have to say, the woman who did her was excellent. She wasn't Stevie. She was excellent. And boy, the crowd was rocking. And yeah, most of them were my age, which is 50s. But there were younger people there jamming out too. So Stevie is touching new generations. And Demi, I love your Reddit rants. You are such a warrior for justice. They complained about Cher every time a woman comes on that isn't 30 or
every time
younger. They're mid.
Every time.
You get on stage at 79 and freaking dance your ass off, get in a leotard like Cher. I mean, come on, these women are amazing. Incredible. The careers that they've had.
Amazing.
The storied, amazing careers that they've had. So artists nowadays, if they last 5 years, we're applauding. This is what, 50 years? Come the fuck on. Let's give these women some credit. That's what we're doing here. We're preaching the gospel, as I said. So yes, excellent choice, Kirstin. Stevie embodies everything we're talking about here. Just a true original and amazing on the show. And I thought she was amazing in season 50. I thought she gave a hell of a performance. And she's got new music out. It just came out a year ago. Come on. May we all be doing that much when we're that age. She's in her mid-70s, not super old, but still, to have the career she has still, let's just hope for all of us, I hope. I hope we're just as productive and successful as Stevie Nicks. Bravo, Kirstin. Excellent choice.
Well, this is why I love music from the 70s, especially the 80s. Those were my teenage years. And there's so many female artists from this era that inspired a lot of women that are working today. With Stevie Nicks, with all these names we're talking about, there will be no Chaperone, no Lady Gaga, no Madonna. So there's a lot, well, when I was kind of late 80s, but they're just influenced so many different women to just be their own thing in song. And going on with that, because it's my pick, Season 7, Episode 6. Host was Brenda Peters, another lady I love. My favorite music of all time is Sunday Park with George, and Sondheim and Brenda Peters are like butter. As you know who to say. November 14th, 1981. This would be the Go-Go's. Beach trivia time. This was my very first concert in 1980. The opening act, Kirstin might recognize the opening act, the Payolas. You don't recognize the Payolas, the Eyes of a Stranger?
You know what? I know the song. I didn't know the band, but of course I know the song. Yes.
It's Canadian art, so I take no offense if Shari or Demi don't know them, but they're a very classic Canadian band. The Go-Go's were, again, out of the LA punk scene, and there was some controversy, well, not really controversy with this episode, because apparently all the girls were drunk. But come on. They're a pop punk band from LA. And I'm sorry, if you can handle George Carlin on coke, having his jaw locked up before the show started, I'm sure you can be fine with 5 drunk punk rock women, because the Go-Go's really started in that. I got one of their the little tiny box set would have a lot of the early live performances of the shows, and like Our Lips Are Sealed, We Got the Beat. Absolute classic songs. That was from their first album, Beauty and the Beat. Cation, classic video there. Belinda Carlisle, who's gone on to do a lot of great solo work. Jane Wiedlin, she did this great song with Sparks in 1983 called Cool Places. She was definitely one of my favorite ladies in the band. What another great love of my life. My beginning of high school days in grade 8. Kirstin, what you got to say?
I danced hard to these songs, for sure. What I loved about rereading the history of this group was that they wrote their own songs. Those are things you don't appreciate when you're younger. You just think, great pop, cool. And they're gorgeous and they're pretty and they dress cool. Although looking back, it was pretty funny because they do look like they're wearing workwear. They've got like pumps and pencil skirts and sparkly jackets on, some of them. So it was a little weird to rewatch and think, did you really want to wear that? You were very feeling blondie, but felt you had to dress like this. Anyways, I digress. It's funny that you say pop punk, because for me, they were just pop. I don't know if people labeled them punk because they just felt like it's edgy. Women are playing instruments in a fun way with confidence. I don't know if that's what labeled that so much. Belinda has since been a songwriter for people like Gaga. So obviously lots of talent there. I would liken them, I'm going to drop another Canadian reference, to current band that I love called The Beaches. And if you know The Beaches, all female singer-songwriters, amazing. You'll see that, again, the lineage of them goes back to bands like the Go-Go's.
Yeah, well, they did start in the LA punk scene, and actually, pop was just rechecking up. Actually, they weren't punk, not pop, but new wave, because this was early '80s. So correction on that. So postmenopausal brain memory. That's what that's going to do.
But you didn't call them pop-punk, Deej. Everyone else did. So it's not your brain. Everyone said pop-punk. That is other people calling them that because they're like, they're pop, but they're scary because they have confidence. That's just a woman thing.
Well, it's a very important thing, especially to a very young Deej Barons back in the wilds of Burnaby. Emerged from the LA punk rock scene of the 1970s and released Beauty and Beat in 81. So we're on to Demi.
The Go-Go's, those great, Our Lips Are Sealed, We Got the Beat, like those are bangers today. And like, so when I was growing up, the Go-Go's were like synonymous with like Britney Spears, like, listen to the good, was like a late 90s, like late 90s was like a shorthand for pop, like pop girlies. And the more I looked into it, it was like they weren't considered pop at first. They were considered punk because they started in the LA punk scene. They also were in CBGBs a little bit. Like they're in that scene. They were subversive because they did write their own lyrics. They were all female group. So they do have punk roots, and I will gladly claim them. And I actually saw the Go-Go's did a live show on Coachella, I think 2 years ago, and I watched the whole set, and the comments were like, somebody's grandma's on stage, and I got so mad that I'm like, oh my God, these kids in these comments, the Go-Go's probably old enough to be their grandma. And I was like, that's depressing. I'm never going to think about that again. But the whole set was great. Like, they sounded great. Jane Whelan was there. She still has purple hair. She was doing Ozzy tributes with Fred Armisen recently, and Jack Black. She's just super, super cool. Belinda Carlisle, super cool. And I did not know she was writing for Gaga. That makes me so happy to know that the circle is unbroken. I just... great pick. Like, they got popular, but they may not have been pop, because they really had the beat. They really did.
Yeah, so they began playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Los Angeles, which is a very famous punk venue there. They shared rehearsal space with the Motels, if you remember Only the Lonely. The original name was the Misfits. And they frequently met at the Days on Sunset Boulevard, where they actually chose the band name Sorry.
Oh my God. This is the band I was referring to earlier. I love the Go-Go's. Absolutely love them. Every single one of them. I loved Rush Hour, which was Jane Whelan's solo hit, and one of my favorites, also amazing video. These women, incredible. And I couldn't tell they were drunk. I looked up the We Got the Beat performance. Belinda's perfect. She's spot on. All of them are spot on. And, I agree with Deej. If it was men getting drunk and showing up, if it was a guy band, if you two showed up drunk, would we be hearing about it? No. But because it was women, it's a big deal. They covered it beautifully. I couldn't tell. They were young. Of course they were getting drunk. It was LA. They were a band getting stardom at the beginning. They're going to party. The guys were partying. For God's sake, Gene Simmons had slept with 60 women by the time the Go-Go's were around. Anyways, I digress. I love the Go-Go's. They are amazing. We Got the Beat and Vacation, incredible. Vacation was shot at Cypress Springs Water Park, or Cypress Gardens. I was a young middle schooler at Winter Park Junior High, since we're talking middle school. I like Deej, was a middle schooler. And I remember them shooting the video there, and everybody was geeking out about it, because it was only like an hour from us, because that whole water skiing scene, that was all Cypress Gardens' big thing, was the water skiing. So yeah, we were pretty excited that our little theme park, which isn't there anymore, was featured in a Go-Go's video. And that video, was incredible. Who can go on vacation without singing Vacation? Certainly not me.
Yeah, the wide shots were of an actual stunt water skiing group. The close-ups in studio. They were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2021. Same year, inducted to the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame. They have found their place, and that's where they're supposed to be. So next we have Demi with her pick.
Tracy Chapman. Okay, I don't remember this exact performance. I rewatched it like last week, but I remember this song was everywhere. Give Me One Reason to Stay Here. That was everywhere. But this, I found out, this performance was like 5 or 6 years before the single came out. So she did the song on SNL, and then it disappeared, and then it wasn't released until later. And oh my God, Tracy Chapman is just an absolute force. She's just so much quiet power. She's so steady, because when she's playing Give Me One Reason, this is when G.E. Smith was the band leader, and like the couple, so she's up there with an acoustic guitar and she's playing it, and the guys are trying to match her voice with the guitar, and they're trying to make it like really rocking. It sounds great, but when you know the version of a song that's just her, and you know that she's all the instrumentation the song needs, it's like, oh my God, guys, let her have it. Like, she's got it. She doesn't need to be like more. I'm sure they were having fun. It wasn't like anything other than that, but it's like her voice is so powerful that if that's the version that you know, It's like everything else, like it's like extraneous because she sang it almost exactly the way it was on the radio, like 5 years before it came out. It was just so much pain. Like, I don't want to leave you, but I will because my heart is broken. If you give me a reason, I'll stay. But you never hear if she gets a reason or not. And man, my mom is singing that so much, just like all over the place. She's a beautiful voice. I just have such a connection to that song, to know that she debuted on SNL and it was so powerful, and then she just kept it away and didn't like release it to the masses yet. What a powerful performance, just so understated yet so strong. I loved it. I'm so glad I had an excuse to go back and watch it because I've seen a lot of her performances. I saw her at the Grammys a couple years ago and she was amazing. Just a great performance, and I'm just so glad to SNL and this podcast for giving me a reason to go back and watch that again so I could talk about it.
Tracy Chapman, definitely classic. Now, this time when she appeared in 1988, she was both well known for her song Fast Car, featuring again more of her fabulous guitar work, and talking about people today underrating artists from yesterday today. When she did that performance with Luke Combs at the Grammys, there was so many complaints from the MAGA assholes. Just because, oh my God, a country artist performed with a gay black woman. Oh noes. So I'm glad that Luke Combs is not one of those guys, but it's like she wrote that song. She lived that song. With her performing Give Me One Reason, didn't actually appear on an album until 1995 on the album New Beginning. But yeah, Tracy Chapman, wonderful singer-songwriter. This was on season 15, episode 9 in 1989, and the host was Andy McDowell. And the other song she performed was All That You Have from the album Crossroads, which was from her second album. One of the greatest guitarists, singer-songwriters of all time. We got Kirstin next.
She, what I always find impressive is when someone can stand on stage with, just a guitar and a microphone. And although there may be a backing band, but how well they can captivate you, it's very intimidating. I could not do it. I don't know many people who could sing with such simplicity and such beauty and hold an audience in its thrall like that, especially when this is like MTV days. This is like sexy music videos. Pop stars are starting to come along. Like, it's getting real flashy. And, those videos now we look back and we kind of cringe because they're really corny. And she was like, no, I'm good. I am playing music with my guitar and I'm over here singing and you do your thing. And she's maintained that ever since. And, did that probably hurt her career a little bit? Maybe, who cares? Because I think the fact that we can go back and listen to those songs, and in 2024, she comes back and reprises this song from decades ago, and it sounds just as fresh and new as it did then, is a testament to just how impactful a songwriter and singer she is, and storyteller, right? And that the message is so relevant still. So great pick, very memorable. Should she be, here's the thing. I think when she performs at things at the Grammys, we all go, of course, she's amazing, right? Like, we kind of take her for granted that she's always going to be there and always going to be great. We don't think of her until she's in front of us. And I think that's a real shame. I think she should have more of a spotlight on her because at some point she won't be coming back to sing these things. And we're going to go, man, there is so much more. She's known for 2 very, very popular songs. She probably has dozens.
Exactly.
Okay, Shari.
Yes, another amazing woman. And Demi, I commend, Bazinga's making an appearance. I commend you, Demi, and I told you this when we were messaging earlier, for finding 2 women who I feel like were from the different sides of the same coin. With Phoebe Snow, I really feel like Tracy was taking notes because Phoebe was not flashy, low key, in a very flashy 70s disco time, strumming her guitar, not doing a lot of makeup. Tracy also very much au natural. So I think you were just so clever. I don't even know if, I think you were so clever, you didn't even know you were this clever. But to get two women
Sorry.
who are like perfect like images of one another. And I thought that was so interesting. They both had their unique style, but amazing storytellers. And as Kirstin said, didn't give a shit about any of the garbage around them or any of the other stars around them, just wanted to make music and be themselves and be true to their own words and their own storytelling. So remarkable pick. And I just love how well the two of them clicked together. Very, very good job, Demi. A+.
Oh, thanks, sorry.
All right, so that's we got one more to go for Miss Shari's pick, and another one I'm looking forward to because there is nobody that doesn't love this woman. So Shari, take it away.
First, I have to preface this by the fact that I'm not a country girl, but back in the day, when I was a very young Shari, I had a single mom and she was obsessed with country. And this artist, I mean, she defies genre, but she's most commonly known as the Queen of Country. And she was doing wigs and costumes way before Madonna was around, way before Gaga. About the same time as Cher, maybe, so they can share that crown. But I am speaking, of course, of the fabulous Queen Dolly Parton. How it took till 1989 for her to get on SNL, she must have said no because she was too busy or whatever, because she was making music early 70s, maybe even late 60s. Talk about a singer-songwriter. Oh my gosh. I mean, the hits this woman has written for other people. We all know the Whitney Houston hit. I don't need to say it. A goddess. And on this show, she did double duty. Everybody talks about how difficult that is. Many shy away from it. In fact, Madonna never was musical guest. She was just the host because I think she realized how difficult it is to do both. But Queen Dolly gets in those sketches, talks about her big boobs, doesn't give a rip, super good sport, game for everything, and then gets out there, sings her ass off, absolutely stunning in her bodysuits, a remarkable woman, two remarkable performances. I especially love the why'd you come in here looking like that? Oh my gosh, such a banger of a song. I could go on and on. I believe that Sabrina Carpenter is her goddaughter, her niece. I don't know, they're related somehow. And I am seeing a lot of a young Dolly in Sabrina. And I hope that she follows in Dolly's footsteps as far as all the charitable work that she does, all the talk about a woman who reps for women. I mean, 9 to 5. 9 to 5 was a movie that absolutely tore down feminist barriers with Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin. Incredible. And of course, Dolly's anthem, 9 to 5. Everybody still sings. So absolutely incredible songstress. And I think love Dolly. Excited to hear. I'm sure you're all going to agree with me about the inimitable Dolly Parton.
I believe that Dolly Parton transcends genre. I mean, she can do something so very soulful as Jolene. And a fun fact about that one song, I Will Always Love You, was written for the movie version of The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. She did a collaboration with Sabrina Carpenter called Please, Please, Please. She gave certain ground rules to Sabrina Carpenter before the collaboration. I don't cuss, I don't make fun of Jesus, and I don't say dirty words on camera. Forward thinking, but it's very traditional in a lot of ways. Both the songs were from her album White Limousine, which was the second song that she did. It was season 14, episode 7, April 15th, 1989. And Dolly is welcome anywhere. I mean, and I believe she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, although people are wondering why. But no, Dolly inspires so many people in so many genres. The one song is one of her very fun sass songs. Why'd you come in here looking like that in your cowboy boots and your painted on jeans, all decked out like a cowgirl's dream? Why'd you come in here looking like that? That is a classic chorus. She gave a whole, I think it was like $720 million to aid in research into the COVID-19 vaccine. So many people in the Bible Belt or less else have disagreements with who she is because of her connection to the LGBTQIA community. She just doesn't care. She loves all people and appreciates all people. And like, who knows how many drag queens have done her as part of their act. The Cardi B performance. Yada, yada, yada. She takes care of herself. And we all know this is about real as it gets. And different hairstyles, different wigs. Seth MacFarlane does a Star Trek-inspired show called The Orville. There's this one race in that series where the entire society is male. Any child that's born female undergoes a conversion. And there's a certain sect of that culture who has branched off to a different planet because they want people of their race who were born female can be female. Dolly Parton appeared in one of those episodes to be an inspiration to the leader when the Mocklans were trying to bring them back and persecute them. And the Moclan female leader was using the song 9 to 5 as inspiration to keep on going. And she actually appeared in that. So Dollywood, oh my God, one of the most famous theme parks in the South and still going strong. But the performances here are just killer. First and next.
I'm not religious, but I worship the Church of Dolly. What is so incredible is that over all these decades, I think we trust her so much for a couple of reasons. One is that at such a very early stage and age in her career, she knew who she was. As a woman, like I think maybe in my 40s, I started feeling that. You have to be a woman to appreciate what it would be like at a younger age to just be so sure in your convictions of who you want to present yourself as, who you are, how you communicate, how you move through the world. And she's known that for so long, which speaks to this kind of wisdom, this beyond her years aspect to her that I really appreciate. And this contradiction she has as well, where there is so much kind of artificialness that she embraces within her appearance, but then this realism where she's like, yeah, people need to all know how to read, so let's buy them books. People need access to healthcare. Let me support that. So there's this beautiful world she lives in where she's like, these things can coexist and that is a-okay. And I'm here to tell you it is, or show you that it is, I should say. To be doing it for this long and with this much goodwill and generosity and reputation as someone who's constantly a provider and a giver and a nurturer. It's just, she's been so consistent. I don't know, is it just consistency and that we trust her because she's never wavered? I don't know. She's just outside of the talent is there. Talking about musicality and SNL, and I can't help but focus on who she is as a person and what she's displayed to us as kind of her traits and her values and all of these things that probably made her a better musician and storyteller and performer and celebrity and all of these things, because it's all connected. So I love that we're ending on this, right? We're ending on Dolly, and we're worshiping at the Church of Dolly, and I'm here for it. And I know that in her episode, they really objectified her in a way that they would in the 80s. And I would like to think, no, I know that would not happen now. Listen, I love that she was on the show. Would they have done that now? No. I think that actually makes her ripe for a comeback. I think we should manifest this right now. I think we should manifest that in this next year or two that Dolly should be back as a host, hey, maybe, and a musical guest, because she's certainly got the energy, but she should be on the show and she should represent what it means to be 80 years old and be a badass, amazing woman of the world. That's my prediction, and I'm manifesting it. Let's all do it with our witchy Stevie Nicks ways.
Wonderful tie-in. Oh, and Dolly Parton's goddaughter is Miley Cyrus. And she also played her grandmother on Hannah Montana. I don't have children. I've never had children. Yay. Watched all the Disney Channel sitcoms because they're very much 80s sitcom vibes. So, funny is funny no matter what age group it's made for.
Can't really think of anything different to say besides Dolly Parton equals icon of icons. That word is tossed around a lot. Dolly is like stained glass level, should be in a church. People should be talking about her in reverent tones, and she's still here. So we all should be so lucky. She's a saint. Like, I think she's a few months older than Cher, because Cher's 79, because we looked it up when she presented at the Grammys. So these are living legends that we're so lucky enough to have. And yes, like Kirstin was saying, we're here to talk about the performance on the show, but I think the wonderful thing about SNL is that it gives you a key to a different world that you could piece back and and podcasts like this give a platform to talk about how important these people were, how important these artists were, how important these women were to culture in general, and how they help push the ball forward. Even though Dolly led, I think we can safe to say slept with her chest. Like, she opened a lot of doors. Like, she got pretty far, and she's still going. And honestly, I can't think of anyone I've never seen a hateful comment about Dolly Parton. And I live my life online. I really, regardless of the forum, the outlet, the platform, I've never seen any negative comments about Dolly Parton. So, living legend, Shari, what an iconic pick. We should all be so lucky to just be able to talk about Dolly Parton.
Although, as much as we would like to worship at the Church of Dolly, she would be the first person to say, don't do that. I'm just a woman. I'm just a singer. She's very humble. And that is the end of this episode. Next week, there will not be a new episode of Saturday Night Ladies. We're taking a week off just to get ourselves ready for when SNL returns the week after, and I get a vacation from my editing chair. And then in the summer, we'll be switching to every other week, alternating with We Hard Hater. Kirstin, you've been on the Saturday Night Upgrade shows so many times. No doubt that you'll be awesome here. You are welcome back anytime, my dear. We love you.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been amazing. I feel infused with all of this female energy. It's wonderful. So thank you for having me, and I will happily be back anytime.
No, this has definitely been a transformative experience, I think, for all of us. Demi was our very first guest, and as soon as she was on, I was like, Demi, we're going to keep you. One of the things I have coming up, February 22nd, I'm recording my episode for Cover Wars, featuring New York State of Mind by Billy Joel, so I'm very much looking forward to that, because the hosts of that podcast were great on our other episode, which is, that one was like 5 people. That was my most tough to get it yet. Demi, Shari, any last thought?
No, just really happy we got Kirstin on here. And let's just keep all these female, I love our guys and I plan to have more on, but between the 4 of us, let's get more women guests. We want them for this summer. We're working on it. I've got a couple more in the hopper, but if you're in the sound of my voice and you know a woman who's got any kind of connection to SNL, let me know. I will look them up, and I will bug them until they're on our show.
Well, thank you very much for joining us once again on Saturday Night Ladies. Another great musical episode of 2 of my favorite decades of music. I realize I've been saying this wrong the last few episodes. I'm going to correct this now. While things may seem pretty bleak, you must go forth and find the funny.
Funny as hope.
Saturday Night Ladies is a presentation of Wacky Notion Productions. Hosted by Deeds Behrens, Shari Fesco, and Debbie Constantine. Recorded and edited by Deeds Behrens. Off-week show research by Shari Fesco. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just email SaturdayNightLadies1978@gmail.com. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.